People often claim that because homosexual acts can feel pleasurable, it means that homosexual behavior can be justified. However, using pleasure to defend any activity is an inherently flawed argument, especially considering the fact that male homosexual sex is objectively harmful to the body and causes serious, even fatal, physical diseases. Mother Nature delivers severe consequences to those who violate her laws and abuse the rectum as if it is a sex organ, when it is not. Semen is designed to suppress the female immune system so that the foreign DNA of the male can combine with female DNA to create a baby. The female body and the female immune system are perfectly designed to receive and absorb immunosuppressive male semen. In contrast, male bodies and male immune systems are not designed to come into contact with another male's semen, and when semen is absorbed into the male body via the rectum, the male immune system is damaged. Even though anal sex is very harmful to female bodies, it is even more harmful to male bodies. This chronic immune suppression, destruction of the fragile rectal tissues which are not designed to be penetrated like the vagina is, and regular oral ingestion of feces during anal to oral sex are just some of the many reasons male homosexuals are so incredibly dirty and diseased. I have discussed the many physical horrors, diseases, and deaths caused by male homosexual penetration in more detail in my other videos. And even though lesbian sex is not inherently damaging and deadly to the body in the ways that male homosexual sex inherently is, pleasure is still not a rational or valid argument that can be used to defend homosexuality. The fact that homosexual acts may be perceived as pleasurable by homosexuals does not mean that nature has designed or approved of homosexuality. Many things which are highly pleasurable to mentally ill humans are also objectively bad or harmful to humans, such as the pleasure mentally ill people experience from their addictions. By the way, homosexuality is itself a sex addiction. Many mentally ill humans find extreme pleasure in objectively bad or harmful things. For example, abusing animals, toxic food, drugs, torturing others, gluttony, rape, pedophilia, necrophilia, anal sex, having sex with trees. All these things are perceived as highly pleasurable by those who engage in them. The people who balloon to 600 pounds also find pleasure in eating themselves to death. Pleasure is not an argument for whether something is a healthy or natural behavior. Objective, observable biological reality is what tells us whether something pleasurable is objectively good. Objective, observable biological reality tells us that a penis is designed to pleasure a vagina, and that a vagina is designed to pleasure a penis. Finding pleasure in perversion does not negate the fact that the design of nature is for sexual pleasure to take place, only between a man and a woman. If a person finds pleasure in something that is unnatural, it does not mean that nature has designed perversion to be pleasurable. It literally just means that someone is a pervert who has perverted the purpose and design of pleasure. Heterosexuality is the only type of sexuality that can be functional and healthy. The fact that sometimes heterosexuality becomes perverted does not mean homosexual sex is somehow not perverted. It always is. Happy, wholesome, functional, pair-bonded, lifelong, monogamous heterosexuality is nature's only design for creating psychologically and physically healthy human offspring. All other forms of sexuality, including all unhealthy forms of heterosexuality and all LGBT sexualities, are aberrations of nature's intentional design. The fact that some heterosexuals are dysfunctional mentally ill perverts who engage in sexual perversions such as anal sex, which, by the way, is mostly only happening today because of porn-induced sexual perversion, does not negate the fact that all homosexual sex is a perversion of nature's design. Male homosexuals always use the "but straight people have anal too" line whenever people confront them about their dirty and disgusting sexual behavior. Unfortunately for them, this is literally not an argument. The fact that a small percentage of heterosexuals are perverts who engage in anal sex, nearly always because they saw it in porn, does not negate the fact that all male homosexuals are, by definition, perverts. The vast majority of heterosexuals do not engage in anal sex, and even the ones who do it very rarely compared to homosexual males. Further, heterosexuals have zero sexual need to engage in anal sex for penetration because heterosexual sex involves a vagina, whereas male homosexuals have no choice but to use the rectum as a replacement for a vagina during penetrative sex. We are not the same. Again, the existence of mentally ill heterosexual perverts does not make homosexual males suddenly not mentally ill perverts. Every single homosexual male is, by definition, a mentally ill pervert. Meanwhile, every single heterosexual is not a mentally ill pervert. Again, we are not the same. All homosexuals are, by default, sexual deviants, while only some heterosexuals are sexual deviants. And the fact that deviants find pleasure in deviations from what is healthy, natural, and anatomically appropriate does not make pleasure a valid justification for deviant behaviors such as homosexuality. By the way, besides pleasure, there are many other invalid arguments that people use to try and justify homosexuality, such as the animal homosexuality narrative, and the completely false claim of animals engaging in behaviors that can be considered comparable to human forms of homosexuality also does not negate the fact that heterosexuality is nature's design. I'll have to make a video exposing the lies of the animal homosexuality narrative because I'm disgusted by the depths of deception LGBT propagandists will sink to in order to advance their agenda. There is no low too low for LGBT propagandists. Animals do not engage in any type of behavior that an honest person could compare to homosexuality as is practiced by human beings. And even if they did, using the deviant behavior of other species to justify your own is completely stupid and dishonest. Other invalid arguments people use to try and justify homosexuality are additional aberrations of the natural order. Aberrations of the natural order such as infertility, which is a defect of nature, or couples being childless by choice, or bad men who don't know how to love a woman properly or be good fathers, or dysfunctional and/or abusive heterosexual relationships and parents, or the fact that increasing numbers of heterosexuals abuse natural heterosexual love do not negate the fact that the rule and design of nature is for sexual union to take place only between one male and one female. Even if love or genuine pair bonding does not come from a heterosexual union because of biological defects, mental defects, unhealed psychological traumas, or birth control, it doesn't change the fact that the heterosexual drive is the only natural form of sexual drive. These are just some of the many invalid arguments people use in a failed attempt to justify homosexuality. Attempting to defend homosexuality by comparing it to other aberrant behaviors or phenomena is an inherently flawed and invalid argument. Remember, aberrations of and deviations from the natural order do not negate the concrete rules and laws of the natural order. I hope you are now able to better understand how inherently flawed the common arguments people use in failed attempts to justify homosexuality really are. Invalid arguments such as pleasure, the highly dishonest claim of animal homosexuality, or other aberrations of nature's design for human love are inherently flawed arguments that can easily be disproven with logic and reason. There are exactly zero valid arguments that can justify unjustifiable behaviors, such as homosexuality. Well, that is all for this video. If you found this video informative, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video on social media and with your friends and family. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Bye for now.